We're late. We're late. Hey, you know what tomorrow is?
Today is, episode 200.
Oh, fuck, man. How did
I
that
know,
happen?
man. I can't believe I've been able to sit here for an hour with you 200 times without getting pissed.
Fucking crazy. 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 I'm just trying to find the sleazeball move by the SEC on this Bellina case.
Oh. Wait, hold on. What do I hear?
Now you're echoing. You're fucking nuts.
I don't know, having fun on Twitter, basically,
That's good. I'm glad you're having a good time, man. So what's going on, man? What's going on with the market? Tell me the story.
Everything looks a little off. I think everybody's just sitting on the sidelines waiting for tomorrow's FOMC notice or, rate hike notice or rate notice. We don't really know what that is. I mean, there's a lot of speculation between 100, 75, and 50. I've heard as high as 50% is calling for 100, but I just don't see that happen. Sorry, Mr. Justin. I just don't see that happening because, with the midterm elections looming, what is it, about 6 weeks now? I just don't see the Fed, since they're apolitical, I just don't see them coming in and throwing a friggin', let's be, because I think the market already got its medicine last week. It was like, oh, these guys are serious. We can't just keep acting like they're going to start cutting again. It's ridiculous.
Right.
But, so I'm kind of leaning more toward a 50 right now. I'm like 60% at 75 and 40% at 50, only because remember they keep on paring that balance sheet down, and that's sucking 95 billion in liquidity out plus the multiplier every month. So I just get the feeling they don't really have to raise it as aggressively. And then if it doesn't respond, then hit it with the full 100 bips in December. But I think now they might be kind of crossing that line a little bit, and they're probably worried. So since the market sold off last week, I think they come in 50 or 75. I think the market rallies and stabilizes. It's not falling off a cliff, but it looks okay.
Your lips to God Pal's ears.
Well, I'm just, synthesizing 50 people's opinions into something that's sort of makes sense to me.
Did you call your deep state connections and tell them to let him know what you think should be done?
No.
I know you have all those. I know you have all those deep state connections.
Not really. If you mean like career government
from your party, that's a deep state. They're all deep state, Joe. Don't you know? They're all out to get us.
I guess so, man. I don't know.
All of your friends are deep state people, except me.
Really? I look at it as kind of, institutional government.
They're all out to get us. Yeah. They're all out to get us.
I don't look at it.
If they've worked for the federal government prior to 2016, they're deep state. They have to be.
Au contraire.
I'm just making shit up, dude.
Oh no, I know. No, look, nobody knows. We had Gavin on that time. I mean, if you want to, if that's whatever. I'm not gonna.
He's a deep state operative, Gavin.
Well, if that's what we're worried about, I'm telling you, you don't have
to. Joe's kind of squirming because he's been inviting all his buddies to watch our show, and so I'm sitting here making fun. I hope they know that I am completely joking.
Oh, they do. They do.
And that I'm just kind of, turning it on its head.
Yeah, you're just priming the pump, getting some action going, lighting the fuse, baby, lighting the fuse. They know me. They have plenty more stories to tell you about me than I do about them.
We need to have some beers. I need to call Gavin up. We'll do a private show. But I'm going to get all your buddies from DC together. We'll have a private show without you where we talk about Joe.
Like a roast?
Yeah, that'd be fun.
That'd be interesting.
That'd be absolutely a blast.
But all those people that are there, they know that I have dirt on them too. So it's that whole mutually assured destruction thing.
Yeah. Damn, I look like I'm sunburned, but I haven't seen the sun in days.
Yeah, you do look a little pale. You might want to adjust that light to the orange side.
I need to go get some fucking. I need to go get some sun, dude. Oh, that's
there
too
you go.
red. Let's go with that. Fuck it. I don't give a shit. I can look like I'm dying. I don't care. All right.
You work too much, man.
Yeah. So at the risk or no risk of starting something.
Oh, go ahead, dude. We'll tee it up. Let's let it roll.
No, I don't think it will actually. Nah, so once again, the fucking SEC doesn't want to actually announce any fucking rules. So they try to slide their rules into their lawsuits, right? So first of all, they did the right fucking thing, right? They went after Ian Bellina for promoting securities, and it was all like he and his buddies scamming out, launching ICO after ICO, him promoting them, and then paying other people, other influencers to promote it. I hope they all fucking go down, right? Because they were just shilling shit and people got burned. So I'm all for that. Absolutely. That's what I think the SEC's role needs to be. Show the world that if you fuck around, you're going to get burned, right?
Yep.
But then they slide into the fucking case that because 45% of staking nodes somehow are in the United States, all of Ethereum is under its jurisdiction, and now they're, in control of everything. And it's just like, you know what? Why don't you just have the balls to write the rules and have those contested by people rather than throw it in with this guy who's going to settle? They know he's going to fucking settle, right? Because he doesn't want to spend the rest of his life in jail, and try to have some precedents that they've set by putting this into the case. And it's just, I'm not naive. I get the motivations and the incentives. I understand that prosecutors, rise in their career when they have more prosecutions and they have more wins and they get more fines. That's your goal. You want to climb up the ladder. You want to be at the top of the top rung of the SEC and then go out and get a nice gig. I get it. But the motivations, the incentives are wrong, because if you truly cared about properly regulating the crypto market, then you would have a discussion and you would post what you think the rules are, and then you would allow those to be challenged and questioned and commented upon. Now, before I move on, any thoughts on that so far on your part?
I saw that, and I thought it was about a bit excessive too. U.S. claims global jurisdiction on, sometimes on matters, and I thought it was a bit of a stretch here, but I thought it was consistent with what he's been saying. But look,
saying that they were validated on on 45% of the nodes being in the U.S., that means that as a result, those transactions took place in the United States is bullshit.
Well, yeah, I agree with you. But I think that, again, we know this is Gensler, right? Gensler said this?
Well, this is in the case, in the filing, in the case against Ian Bellina.
Well, in a lot of lawsuits or in public messaging or negotiation, the challenge is always to come out with the highest,
that's a good point, Amy.
Furthest to the edge position that you can possibly do, but it's just enough to make people pissed off, but not make them walk away from a discussion. So it's like if you were selling your company, let's say Material Indicators was somebody made an offer.
Come on, make the offers, people.
And you're trying to kind of like, they're saying, well, what do you want? And you're saying, well, what do you think it's worth? It's technically not for sale. What's it worth to you? You're fighting this battle over who's going to say a number first. But whoever says the number first, the challenge is to say a number that's so high that they kind of wince a little bit, but at the same time, don't walk away. So when people say stuff like this in media, it just seems like a lot of posturing. But I do have one point I want to make.
Wait, real quick to that point.
Oh, it's a case. It's not media. Yeah, got it.
Yeah, this isn't a case. They're not like.
But I mean, in lawsuits too, you do the same thing in a lawsuit,
right? But his attorneys. Thankfully, if Bellina fights this,
Oh, Bellina. Okay.
I can't imagine he would, but if he fucking fights it and doesn't settle, then his attorneys are going to try to take this out because they don't want these transactions to have occurred in the United States, right? Because that's what gives them jurisdiction over all of the transfers of Ethereum or whatever that he received for promoting these ICOs. So,
but wouldn't it have to be 51% of the?
Well, you would think, but they're trying to claim that because they are more densely clustered in the United States than any other country. But Eamon just made a great point. This happened back in 2017, 2018, when miners controlled in China.
Very good point.
That's a really good point. I mean, that's a really fucking good point.
Who is this? Ina Bellina? Are you listening? Ina Bellina.
Ian
Bellina. Sorry. Yeah, well, you don't
have your attorney call Eamon because he's got you covered. He's,
I mean,
this is actually smart.
But when I saw this in the news, just the quip about the, before when Gensler was talking about ETH might have become a security, we kind of had that spirited discussion about where in the continuum of decentralized to centralized and regulated, unregulated, like where is that optimal value in the middle? And, it made me start thinking, I kind of tried to carve BTC out of that because I think everybody says crypto and, it's definitely starting to segment into different sort of markets. And, when I came out of all of that thinking, shit, man, I mean, okay, so if they're going after ETH now and turning it into security, then, that leaves like FTM in a pretty good position. It doesn't leave Polygon in a great position because of it being so close to ETH, but it kind of opens the door for, in my mind, what is the one that they're not going after at all?
That's a good point.
BTC. Who could ever get DeFi, a true DeFi, a Canto style play, let's say, on BTC? I don't know if that's regulatorily touchable.
Well, it won't be, but you can't.
Not even on Stacks or any of those other things?
Well, Stacks you can, but Stacks has, if I'm not mistaken, it's basically a layer on top of Bitcoin, and it's got validator nodes. Well, and so it would be
the same thing.
And the math, look, but actually, Sean says, how about build a chain that regulation can't fuck with? Oh yeah, BTC. Haha, China tried to stop BTC, effect equals 0. And all joking aside, the merits of the case against ETH are meaningless. It stops core institutional investment. Yeah, and that's kind of their goal is. He's also trying to put himself into a leverage position like you were talking about earlier, Joe. Gensler is when I say he. Trying to put himself in a negotiation position for what the regulations actually end up looking like, right? With Congress. So,
yeah, but I to Sean's point, if I'm not reading that exactly right, I think that the reason they want to make it a security is because that facilitates institutional investment.
Okay? Oh, that makes sense. Yeah.
All right. I think that's what they're thinking. So I think this is a layup for the banks. Again,
I like that. I like that. That's a good point.
But is it or isn't it? And are the merits for why it is or isn't valid? That's subject to litigation.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's so many moving pieces, but fundamentally, I think it's the next new paradigm. We're going to see something new now here.
Eamon said, obviously, I don't think this is a legitimate way of saying where a transaction happened. It's nonsense. But Sean, ETH doesn't care either. Regulators can make shit up too, of course, about Bitcoin. So, I think Sean's response would be, well, it doesn't matter if mining gets stopped in the US, short of actually making it illegal to transact with Bitcoin, that Bitcoin would go on and other people will mine it in other parts of the world. So I think that's kind of where he would come from on that. But Niblet said truth from the pub.
True that.
Sean said 100% with Joe on that, but then you need to have a permission system. Right. Yeah. All right. So anyway, speaking of the regulatory framework, though, Treasury has asked for public input to shape the crypto regulations. And so I found it on the regulations.gov website. I'm going to put the link in. I encourage everyone to take the time to read. I thought I had this open, but evidently I didn't.
Hey, you know what we should do, Brad? We should crowdsource from our viewers, listeners, a composite answer to each of these and make a submission from DeFi Lunch.
Oh, I like that.
Why not?
Yeah.
I mean, it's
like we'll post it in Reddit. We'll post it in the show notes, but we'll post it in Reddit with a link to a discussion on Reddit where people can post in their comments.
Yeah, and then we send over something, because I think we could put together a pretty good agnostic, unbiased set of information for them to entertain, and then I can sort of reinforce it indirectly, through
I like that,
my relationships there.
That's good.
But I think this is a community response, and that's what we need. We talk
Joe's
about that.
Put in a good word with the deep state for us.
These guys are really running the world. We're in big fucking trouble. Sorry. Nothing personal, guys, but you guys leave at 4:45 every day. Show up at 9. Love you. I'm just kidding.
Awesome, dude.
I'm just kidding. They work from home.
That's great. That's great. I love it.
But that would be a good thing, because I think that we have a good balance of ideas on our team here, our community.
I totally agree. And I'm sure Sean will weigh in because he wants to help ETH out.
Yeah, he'll weigh in.
He said, is Joe starting SEC coin? We should start the Gens token.
Gens gains, we'll call it.
Gens gains. Let's make it like some total complete Ponzi with fucking
some kind of no, let's not say anything.
A whole collection of freaking nutso NFTs, and then we'll rug everybody.
Oh no, we could call it GG. Now here's what would be funny. I remember, and if any of my buddies are listening, Gavin one time had these Treasury issued trading cards, or was it not Treasury? Maybe it was ATF. Yeah, they're part of Treasury. It was something, but it was all the drug seizure dogs. And so it was like a football card or a baseball card, if you remember those from the real world days, like an NFT in the real world, but it had their like seizure stats and all this stuff down there. And it was like these dogs, and there was like about 9 of them, I think. I always thought that'd be kind of a funny ass. Of course they were, it's never fun to get in trouble for anything, but it was sort of like a interesting way that they would rally everybody around these dogs, just like they did with the dogs in Afghanistan. Those what do they call them? Malinators, or what? Malinois, like there's more biting power than an alligator. And I think the nickname is Malinator, but they brought a lot of those back that were adopted, combat dogs. And I think they got on NFTs, but it's just funny what everybody else does to promote. And you see we're doing stuff like that every day. Yeah.
So getting off of regulatory, I thought this was really interesting. Remember how we were talking about Helium Mobile? And for everybody that doesn't remember, Helium is the provider of hotspots all over the world, where people bought these hotspots in order to provide cellular and Wi-Fi access to phones that are roaming in that area, to build a network, a cellular network that's cheaper and rivals the access of the big players in the space. And then the people who had the hotspots would make tokens from having the hotspots from people using the bandwidth and paying for use of the bandwidth. So they got under pressure because it showed that they only had like $6,500 in revenue, but all of these people had bought these hotspots and spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on them. Well, they have answered by launching their own cellular plans, which will combine the Helium 5G network and the T-Mobile network. And the plans start as low as $5 per month, and subscribers will get tokens for just using their phone.
I like that.
I like this a lot. Because theoretically, and I don't know how strong or far reaching the Helium network is, but this to me is a great way to bootstrap this business model, right? Because once you have phones in the hands of people and they're getting cheap access, and you can start making it so your hotspots are making money, then people are going to be more inclined to set up their own hotspots in their home so they can make even more money because they see other people generating revenue from the use of it. So, I mean, they have a lot of work to do, and it's going to be a difficult thing to get overcome, to get adoption. But this idea of, a $5 a month plan is pretty impressive. So
what this really gets me, or what I see here, is there was that project I was involved in about a decade ago, which was it was a rice growing project, but it was something that would allow farmers, say in Southeast Asia, to be able to grow, I think, 3 crops of rice instead of 1 per year, or be able to grow in the dry season because it was a well technology that would pull water, had some solar on the top, and then it also had a Wi-Fi-ish, I guess it was Wi-Fi back then, but a cell tower type thing. And so they go to the village, and one person was usually like the village, I don't know, chieftain, for lack of a better word. It was usually his wife, and she would get the cell phone contract. But so everybody would come there to charge their phones and could make micro calls. So it's this concept of like micro payments and micro, because these are smaller contained markets, they're villages, and everybody doesn't need a smartphone. So they share it. And then that person who manages the custody of it gets a cut, and everybody prospers. So I see this, and I'm like, what if you laid like the Wi-Fi hub, or what if you went to those same type of women or those same people in the villages and got them signed up for this? One per village. It's like it seems to me there's going to be like a new town square in all these little villages. That's kind of what I was pitching in China too, but where all these kiosks and access to services that don't necessarily disseminate well into the countryside cost-wise are a magnet, like, to bring in people from the countryside into the towns. And it facilitates community development of those towns and those distributed communities in real world. So this is really, there's something there, man.
No, I totally agree. I think this is a really brilliant idea. So they're going to have 5 gigabyte and 1 gigabyte plans. 1 gigabyte starts at $5. I mean, I don't know if that means 1 gigabyte off of the T-Mobile, but everything else is free if you're accessing their hubs, or if that means just 1 gigabyte for $5 a month. 5 gigabytes a month. It's coming in early 2023, and then unlimited will only be US to start. But look, if they're starting at $5 a month, they'd probably be pretty competitive. Now the problem is, like T-Mobile and AT&T and family plans, I think are about $50 a month for 4 people. So they're going to have to be competitive in that range on the unlimited side. But if I was looking at this, they have how many hub spots was it? Let me find it.
Well, the issue in the past, remember when we like Metro,
they have
one or whatever. The issue was you could get the cheap ones, but they didn't work when you traveled.
Right.
And so that's what I think you're trying to get to here, is that same point. And what is it, Brad?
Well, they have 1 million hotspots in 73,000 cities. That's some pretty good coverage. Now, I'm sure there are gaps, and that's why they have T-Mobile in the mix, right?
Put one in every. Is T-Mobile partner with Starbucks?
I don't know.
I'd put them in Starbucks.
Well, that would make sense. Or find another chain to put them in. FedEx.
Go to Starbucks. Who's number 2 in the coffee space?
What else is international? McDonald's.
Yeah, McDonald's too. Yeah. Anybody, and who's in all the airports? What fast food or what?
Those magazines,
cafe places, magazine shops. Yeah. You just lay them everywhere where people will need it.
Yep.
And then
so anyway,
like you said, have that cascading thing in each metro area where you get more microcells everywhere.
Exactly. So I really like this strategy. I like what they're doing here. I think it makes a ton of sense.
What's the token look like right now? I'll look it up. It's
Mobile.
HCL?
So there's 2 tokens here. There sounds like there's going to be a token called Mobile for people to earn that are using the phone, is what I saw in here earlier. So, but here we'll mine mobile tokens. So I'm assuming they're going to have 2 tokens, the Helium token and the Mobile token. But I don't know.
Okay.
So anyway,
this is the same Helium that's been around for a while. The one that I was always kind of thinking, lumping in with Celsius in my head.
Exactly.
Because of the names, of course.
Exactly.
So they've had a token around for a while. HEL, right? Is that it?
I think that's their primary token. I'm not sure.
Okay. I was just going to pull up a chart real fast. Helium price, HNT, 441. Is this the same one? 532. Okay. The token made a nice run about an hour ago, from like $4.50 to $5.30. If this is the right one, market cap about 1.2 billion.
Yep.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, so this is popping. That media is making it move.
That's good.
Cool. HEL.
Yeah. So
wait, don't chase this one. Sorry, I don't want to be giving any advice, but
yeah, no financial.
It's in the news, of course. You wait.
Yeah. So I was reading this post yesterday called "On Building Mobile First," which I think the part of the article is about this, but this is actually a really good analysis of the next phase of what we have to develop, right? So, and that is making everything kind of one-click easy for users and segregating out functions of DeFi into apps in the real world, with him talking quite a bit about mobile first. But there was something really friggin' interesting that caught my eye, because he starts referencing quite a bit of the build outs and the success of particular applications in India. Mm-hmm. And he talks about a lot of the stuff you and I talk about all the time, which is, better UI, better UX, making things more accessible to the average person, all of those kinds of things. And all the points are valid. I'm going to put this in the show notes because it's an awesome article with some great data in it. But if you look at average number of hours spent online, you're looking at mobile being the gargantuan component of that. Now, you and I are probably more desktop, so we're in this range, but just interesting that mobile dominates, but most DeFi applications are desktop first. Now, that said, that's their market. That's the people that are buying and doing large quantities. That's why DeFi developers target them first. There's a segment of users that have a lot of money that they want to be in their protocol. And so the easiest way to get to them is desktop. But as we start onboarding the rest of the world through gaming and NFTs, and he concludes that gaming is the way, he thinks the way forward for all of DeFi is through gaming. He talks about, remember yesterday we were talking about gold in India? Yes. Let me find this quote.
I did see that analog between starting to buy like frags of gold. Like,
here we go. Yeah. So he talks about he talks about crowdfunding and KYC, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And he talks about India, a state-owned payments network in the region named UPI is scaled from doing 4 billion in transactions to over 120 billion in transaction volume every month. Wow. Every month. And they grew that size in 4 years. Indians do 72 billion transactions digitally each year. So then he said, DeFi promised to make investment bank-grade products accessible for everyone. This is a variation of the promise of ICOs. The idea was that everyone could now invest in early-stage ventures. By and large, this is true, but it excludes the fact that too often people want simple primitives that are set and forgotten, not ones that require one instance. I love this. One instance I have to prove this is the case of Jar HQ from India. The app ranks consistently in the region's top 20 for UPI transaction volume. What are users doing so many transactions for? To buy gold for as little as 5 cents. Mm-hmm. Historically, buying gold was an aspirational act in India. It involved saving enough to buy the smallest amount. You then lost money to the middleman that sold the gold to you and worried about where to store it. JAR flipped the unit economics around it. By focusing on digital gold depositories, they reduced the amount of money needed to buy it. By focusing on a market like India, they could focus on scaling at a pace most of their traditional store-first counterparts could not. And what his point is that the opportunity here is to grab little pieces of this market and little functionalities in protocols and primitives that are built. So pulling something out of a Spirit Swap or pulling some component out of Aave, that's what Brew Money is, which is also out of India, but is US targeting, it's a non-custodial wallet that it's one-click access to Aave yields, right? And they're going to add other yields to it, but it's let me pull out one piece of functionality that would be of interest to people, right? And so this is brilliant. Now, the interesting thing here is I want to build that gold app with that dumb, simple interface for the rest of the world and just use PaxG, which is backed by gold in vaults, and make it so people can round up their change and buy gold when we're in a down market, right?
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, right. So why not a dumb, simple app that's all you do? Connect your bank account, round up all your transactions, 75 cents, 6 cents, 20 cents, whatever it is, and boom, you're buying PaxG automatically, right? Well, and you're just staking gold, and then later you add other things to it. You add the ability to buy Bitcoin, Ethereum with your roundup change, and maybe create a basket of things.
Well, yeah, it should be that. Look, this is for. I've talked about this before. Why aren't crypto people buying gold?
Yeah.
I mean, why not buy some PaxG and store it, save it, or the other ones where you can take delivery? I mean, it's a diversification play. It makes total sense. And what I like about this with India is this is why India always gets everybody's attention, and it's simply this: Am I locked? 1.6 billion times 5 cents per day. You do the math on that one. It's a big number.
Yeah.
And, if you penetrate 10% of the market, it's 160 million times 5 cents per day. So I would venture that the female side of the women's side of the market is probably 99%. I mean, not kids, of course, but let's say adults, 99% doing this. 99% of them are acquiring gold. But they haven't been able to, like the article says, because, you got to have a lot of money to go buy the physical stuff. You can go buy 5 cents worth of gold physically. But this is kind of what is this microfinance type application is exactly the kind of stuff that elevates agrarian societies or distributed societies that haven't moved as fast as first world. It allows them to accumulate wealth. Anything that allows them to accumulate wealth and scale it in aggregate is a good thing for the rest of the world.
Sure. And well, here's the thing that, the point that I think he's making, and Niblet says the market needs several layers between them and the DeFi mechanics. So it's not about a better wallet, but about vertical solutions that subsume DeFi mechanics like automatic transmission. And that's exactly what, by the way, Niblet's Brew is. Brew is not pushing themselves as a wallet. They're pushing themselves as a mechanism to easily invest in DeFi primitives without having to understand DeFi primitives or interact with the protocol, right? And that to me is what's important. The other thing he talks about in the article is how you can layer these things, right? You start off with round up your money for gold, and then you start adding other capabilities to it, right?
Yeah,
let me let you borrow against all your gold holdings and invest it in Aave or invested in Alchemix loans or whatever. I mean, there's all kinds of things you can build in, and the user never has to know how it functions on the back end. All it has to do is you have to build up trust with the user that what you are doing is what you say you're doing on the back end, but you don't have to worry about the mechanics of doing it. And I think there's a ton of opportunity of seeding this.
I mean, look, it's been the go-to for crypto type storage of wealth, portability, things like that. It and diamonds have been the 100% go-to for that in fleeing war zones and things like that. So I think it is one, I also think it'd be kind of cool if you could take those, fractionalized gold token pieces you have and like you said, go to Aave and stake them there and borrow against them.
Well, borrow against them so you could stake at Aave. Yeah, exactly.
Well, no, I was saying the other way around is that if you got
you can't stake your PaxG there. I don't think.
Well, no, I'm saying if you could.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It'd be another treasury diversification play for Aave.
Yeah.
Because now it's not all crypto. Part of it is gold. Not sure it's digital gold, but still that's a big step for them. But think about like financing farm budgets and things like that. in countries, these agrarian societies. They have to often go to like the payday loan type equivalent people to borrow the money to get the seed to plant the crop.
Right.
And then at the end of it, then they got to go sell it to the people who then say, oh shit, everybody's delivering, grain today. This price is this. So, they just gets, probably 20% of their margin is getting taken out in finance fees.
Right.
So if you can disintermediate 16 to 18, 15% of that, that's money in people's bellies, basically.
Absolutely.
So that's the kind of stuff I like to see.
No, it's great. It's awesome. So anyway, this is a really great piece. I encourage everyone to read it, especially those of you that are builders out there. I think one of the things that's going to have to happen in the near future is all of these protocols are going to have to start thinking about, how do I gain access to the users that are not the core people in DeFi, right? How do I start spreading what I do beyond that? The other thing they're going to have to think about is stop worrying about token go up and start thinking about fucking revenue and how they pay investors with revenue instead of token price.
Yeah.
But that's a whole nother core problem for them.
What's interesting here, Brad, is this is also, if they go that route, like, acquiring the gold token interest or whatever, the digital gold, and they make the psychological transfer from physical gold to digital gold and equating them and making them the same psychologically, believing it, just like people believe in the dollar, let's say, or people believe in gold. It seems like then when they move into something like using an Aave or some equivalent for, say, farm finance or something, that it brings them into the DeFi world at that point.
Yeah.
From a trusted pedestal of gold.
Exactly.
Okay. So that brings some portion of 1.6 billion Indian citizens into the crypto world, which, we want that. So,
well, yeah, look, and like I said, I think these things can all be translated to other users in other parts of the world, including the United States. So, anyway, I think it has a ton of potential. And DeFi, Niblet says, DeFi can equalize the cost of capital globally. So why does the left not see how powerful this can be? Dude, because it doesn't allow them to maintain control over people and their money. The far left. I'm talking about the far left. And that's the bottom line. They think they need to protect people.
Right. Yeah. Some significant aspect of that segment does. And I think
it's easier to go ahead.
And I think that's what terrifies the opposite side of the spectrum, because, when you hear things like nanny state and things like that are protecting everybody, what's the first thing you think of? You think of some old, your older sister beating the shit out of you, or you think about your wife telling you what to do, or your mom punishing you. So, that's the way it's equivocated in people's minds. So I agree. Sure. You can't, we have to figure out a way. Again, this is not binary or zero sum. We have to figure out some guidelines where, we talk about this a lot, Brad, where people have to have individual free will to make decisions they want, but somehow we have to make it to where they're not getting suckered into stuff that isn't real. And I think that's probably the best way to say it.
Yeah, totally agree.
But that's a tough challenge. That's hard to do, and I don't know if it's doable. So
James, by the way, said that HNT is correct for the token. I think.
Okay, cool.
So, thank you, James. Okay, you had loaded up something. MicroStrategy acquires an additional 301 bitcoins and now holds 130,000 bitcoins in total. Do they say how much he's down at this point?
I think these were all bought in the 19.8 range, 19.3. It says it in there in the article. But I was kind of surprised. I heard some chatter about this, and I actually tweeted out something about this, but it turned out it was a spoof account that I tweeted, so I deleted it because I didn't want to be promoting inaccurate information. But there was definitely talk about this, and here it is. So I don't know. I think it's a good thing.
So he's averaged, prior to this buy, his average buy price was 30,650. And
so what was this average? They bought 300 and 130. No, they bought 301. They hold
301 more down here at 19, I guess.
Yeah, that's not going to move the DCA needle very much.
No, it's not going to help. Not going to help. No,
but look, he's probably sitting there at around. You said
his average buy price was 30,623. He spent 3.981 billion.
I mean, look. I mean, he talks the talk, but he walks the walk.
I fucking hate that guy. I don't hate anybody. Sorry.
I know you don't hate him, but I know it's sometimes, it's hard because I don't know what audience he's speaking to. Is he speaking to like retail crypto enthusiasts? I doubt it.
He's speaking to whoever will buy more Bitcoin to pump his bag. Yeah,
but the institutionalists, I don't think they like his behavior and his attitude. I just don't think that this helps advance institutional.
If he's up later, right? Next bull run,
eventually
he'll look like a fucking genius. And that's when all the treasury managers in corporate America will be like, oh shit. And they'll ape in and give him his exit. And then
he dumps it all.
He dumps it all on them.
What was that 3-3 shit we were talking about?
Sean said they're trying to raise 500 million to buy more BTC. 300 BTC is meaningless. Yeah. He says it's all time preference. Decent chance this is a great position in 5 years. Totally agree that this will be an awesome position.
100.
And Shizzy says you can hate Sailor, but he'll be the richest man in the world one day. Well, I don't know. They're not his Bitcoins. So, but
and I don't really hate him, Shizzy. I just know people who were around him when the accounting fiasco happened. And so that kind of just makes it seem like he, what I'm getting at is everybody who we want to come in and, well, at least I want to come in and buy shitloads of this stuff so we all get rich. He lost a lot of credibility with them. And so I just didn't like how he became the big cheerleader before, but that was before he went out and bought 130,000. So now I'm like, okay, he's for real. He's not full of it. And he did pitch Blackstone on this at the beginning because they're like his biggest shareholder and they had to approve it. So, because they're on the board. But still there's when an investor comes in like Blackstone, I think they only own 10%, but they have veto control and they said because of all the money they came in, there's preferred and there's shareholder agreements, but there's different things that they do.
Yeah, but this is a good point back to me from Shizzy that after I said that it's not his, it's the company's. He owns 60% of the stock, so theoretically 50 to 60% he's going to walk away with if this thing sells.
Oh, well, look, he made a bunch of money before, so he doesn't really have to personally do anything here. He's obviously Blackstone is happy. And obviously I haven't looked at the stock price honestly in the last couple of months, but it seemed like it was doing okay. And compared to everything else. So I don't see him being in trouble. I think he makes this pitch for this 500 million that Sean references. And he goes out, and then if this stuff drops to 13 or something, or 14, like, the more doomier people project, he's going to buy it all. Everything he can get his hands on. And then it will go. Yeah. And at that point, he will come out on top. I think it's a brilliant move.
And I dislike him personally. I don't dislike the strategy. I think it's smart to own MicroStrategy. I just can't stand him as a person. I think he's a piece of shit. So that's
Yeah, I don't want to. The guy, he's an MIT guy. I don't remember if he graduated or dropped out. I just don't remember. But he's a smart guy.
Yeah. So it's down to 196.
Can you pull the chart up for 1999?
Down 75% in the last year and a half. For what?
For 99 2000. Can you pull up like all time?
Yeah.
That's it right there, right?
Yeah. So that's high was 1391.
So look at that wick. No, go back. Shit. Oh yeah, I'm sorry. I was going to show that wick at the top of that one. Look at that wick right there. Before it just plummeted. Now that all happened in one day. And friends of mine.
Serious?
Oh yeah, no. What happened was that SEC investigated, accused them of front loading revenues. They had signed a 10-year deal with Sprint for data mining. It was, predictive analytics stuff back then. Just it's in your smartphone now. So they signed that deal for 60 million for 10 years and then booked it all as 60 million in revenue that quarter. So they signed the deal, let's say, and I'm paraphrasing, so maybe I'm off a tiny bit, but say they signed the deal on September 30th to meet the forecast earnings per share number, okay, or what they had been telling all the institutional guys that own all the stock. Didn't happen. So the SEC came in and charged them, and then Bank of America called at 10 and pulled a, I don't know, $400 million line of credit and demanded payback by 5. And then they fired everybody in the company but 6 people. And I think the stock went from, I think it was up at like, what you said, 1392 or something. And then it plummeted down to like, I mean, oh God, this is misery, but I mean, we've all been there, to like 8 or something.
Yeah.
And then he stayed in the game. And look, this is a whole new incarnation. That's what I find so like, this was all going on in .com bubble. So, we were there. This was in Tyson's Corner outside DC, was where their office was. And I knew the guys running his software development team. They were another firm. And I knew his CFO. So, basically there's a lot of chatter about it out there. But that's where I kind of just lost respect for him.
Shizzy says, how many copycat CEO who wants the fame? 2 years ago, no one knew who Sailor was. There will be a lot of copycats next bull run. Yeah, but if they have any sense, they'll be doing it now. Like, look, if you want to turn your corporation into a holding company for Bitcoin, this would be the time. You're right. I mean, this is when you should be DCAing into Bitcoin if this is what your strategy is going to be. I mean, you and I should just start a company, Joe, and we'll just buy Bitcoin and Ethereum every day. And then we'll do a SPAC. And we'll just buy Bitcoin, Ethereum, and PaxG.
Oh yeah, I'm sure your SEC buddies are going to love that one.
And well, no, we'll register it. We'll register it.
But that's just so hard and complicated. But I get your point.
Yeah, I mean, look.
Go ahead.
There's no. I don't fault the strategy, and I think it's going to be smart. I think I would have been a little bit smarter about when I bought, as opposed to. I mean, look, he was telling everybody to sell their fucking houses at $60,000 to buy more Bitcoin, right? That's some irresponsible shit, right?
Yeah, telling people to
telling people to borrow against their shit when it's at highs in the 40s up to 60s. That shit's irresponsible. Right now, this strategy is smart. DCA the shit out of that shit you bought at the peak so that you can really make money on this when this turns. The question becomes, will the stock price ultimately reflect the value of the Bitcoin? Right? Is the market going to say, oh, look, Bitcoin's at 100,000 now, and so we're going to equivalently make the stock price worth the value of the Bitcoin that MicroStrategy holds? I don't know. Do they still make software?
Yeah, I don't know. I think they do, but I guess to me, I think, remember, this was sort of a proxy Bitcoin play.
Sean said was nearly into that company, Brad, but then you said and ETH.
Oh.
Hey, wait, Sean.
Okay, go ahead.
I know Sean has made money on ETH, so I'm not sure you would be totally against this, right? If we start with just Bitcoin and gold, are you in? Because we could start there. We could do a cooperative that does this. I don't know. Anyway, go ahead, Joe. Sorry.
No, I was just thinking, remember when he kind of got all this traction, Sailor and MicroStrategy, remember what was going on at that point? There was, for US customers, I think there was basically maybe Grayscale was already doing their thing, but people were having trouble really understanding that. And all of a sudden, here comes MicroStrategy. And it's something that everybody, all the normies can do because they're already buying stocks. They already got it in a Fidelity plan or Ameritrade or, whatever one they're on. And all of a sudden they're like, oh shit, maybe we should take a shot on that Bitcoin stuff and buy some MicroStrategy. So I think that was where he was very shrewd and smart in seeing that opportunity.
As a vehicle for people that want to invest without investing directly.
Without doing wallets and
understanding. No, and I think that's brilliant. I think that's totally brilliant. I guess he can't talk about it, but
Well, I guess people talk. Well, he does. I don't know if he does, but a lot of people. I thought I heard him say it directly, but it's in the media a lot. And so I think when I see the sell-off here, I think it's because the clients that were buying it because of Bitcoin are now buying their own Bitcoin, let's say, not buying MicroStrategy. And so that's why I think it's gone down. And you see the same kind of stuff with Grayscale, where, I mean, I don't even know what they do next at this point. Right. I mean, it was the same play. Not the same play as MicroStrategy, but it was a similar play, a way for accredited institutional people to get exposure to Bitcoin or high net worth types. And they're already doing business with a lot of people around them already. So it's a trust thing already in place. Well, obviously, there's a lot more options now. I mean, EDX, that exchange coming out. I mean, I saw something, I think I lost this one, but it was some other big platform is allowing crypto now in the US. And I thought it wasn't Fidelity because they already said that. It was somebody else, but, custody of crypto. That's what it was. I think it's Fidelity is going to allow you to set up a custody account now, which I assume means that you send your Bitcoin to them and they hold it, and Fidelity is insured by, the full faith and credit of the U.S. financial system. So all of a sudden you take another wrinkle out of the normie user adoption security, and you insure it, they're holding. So these are all things that, boring, but it brings more users. Sure. And it helps all of us too.
So Eamon makes the point that he said most in early 2020. His first buy was in August of 2020. So he bought in at about 11, and that was a big chunk. Actually, it was about, where was it? 21,454. And then in September, he bought 16,000, 17,000 more. And he's been spreading them out. But of course, he kept buying all the way up. And I guess it's really equivocates to a DCA strategy. So I take back my buying them at the peak, but I don't take back that it was just kind of irresponsible to tell everybody to buy at peak prices. Sean said that his average entry on ETH is $18. That's cool, Sean. But you still made money on ETH. He said he still hates it. Sheezy says, can we name the SPAC DeFi dinner? I'm in.
There you go, buddy.
That's great, dude.
I like it.
Let's start our own SPAC. Who do we call, Joe?
I like DeFi.
Can Lewis help us with that?
He could definitely. So we have to figure out what is the optimal structure right now to do stuff like this. I don't know what is. So I'll give him a call in the afternoon and just start discussing it.
Sean says MicroStrategy and miners became a proxy investment for BTC, but now there are lots more regulated options. Yes, and a lot of miners don't have enough sense to manage their financials properly prior to dumps. But
look, those miners I knew, they were the ETH miners, and they were like, everybody's like, oh my God, they're really successful. They've been making so much money. And then I come back 6 months later and it's like, oh dude, I had to sell all the rigs, out of cash, broke.
Where is it? Where is it? Hold on. This was good shit. I want to find this. God damn it. I had this article open. The Ethereum miners are dumping like madmen, dumping all their ETH. And I'm like, every day these people are show how stupid they are even more. It's like, okay, so first of all, you had 4 years to fucking plan for proof of stake, right? Get your shit together, launch DeFi on Ethereum Classic, do something, right? Start setting it aside, start mining something else, something. You had plenty of years to prepare. You had plenty of time to prepare your business, your entire fucking business for this, right? And then you come up against it and you fucking come up against the day when it's going to launch, or 2 weeks before it's going to launch, and a bunch of you and miners get together and decide you're going to fork with some total fucking mess without the technology or the skills or the knowledge and knowing how to do it, right? So you think you'll get one last big dump on people because you're going to double the number of ETH you have because you have ETH proof of work. Of course, that's a total clusterfuck. You get burned. You're losing money. You might have made a little more money, but if you haven't been holding your ETH because you can't pay your bills, so you've been selling it all along, doesn't matter. Then the proof of stake, the merge happens, price is already down. And now out of vindictiveness or just stupidity or desperation, you start dumping all your ETH, and everybody does it together. And I think it was like 170,000 dumped in the last couple of days. And you dump it all together, pushing the price down further. And it's just like, I just look, I've made plenty of mistakes in my life in business, but I just don't get these miners who are printing fucking money, not being ready for this shit. I don't understand it. I can't fathom, can't get it. Don't get it. Don't understand. Anyway.
So I saw some nice comments from, I'm just trying to figure out where we were.
Sean said, we already did that.
You got that one. This one.
Yeah. Oh, Eamon says, Sean, you can send me your ETH if you dislike it, though. I'm not an ETH maxi. I'm willing to alleviate your burden. Yeah, same here, Sean.
Yeah, we'll all take one for the team there.
We put the show Ethereum address in the show notes, so you're always welcome there. He says, he waiting for this last exit pump, then we'll flip it, man. But happy to buy you a beer any day. Awesome.
Oh, then BTC will flip it? Or ETH will flip? What's he mean?
He means he's going to flip the ETH he has. He's waiting for the last exit pump, then he's going to sell the ETH he has, and then he'll buy us all a beer.
Nice.
Yeah. So.
I thought he was getting into hash. This is the one I was talking about right here. I did send it to you. Good. Institutional crypto custody service. I mean,
all right.
Now look, man. Oh yeah, NASDAQ is holding my crypto. I mean, what the fuck? Yeah. You can't really do much. It's like nobody gets fired for that move.
No, nobody gets fired for that until how much are they taking? Right? Like, what do they charge for something like that?
I don't think they've said all that. I don't know.
I have no idea what custodians charge for custody, like Coinbase, the big ones, like how much do you have to pay? Like, how do you pay? Is it like a monthly fee? Is it like a percentage of total held? I don't know.
Let's look at that last paragraph. Let's says BlackRock teamed up with Coinbase to offer trading and Bitcoin investment. JP Morgan, blockchain-based trading platform. Goldman Sachs is set to follow suit with its own trading platform. I think there's probably, think about it, what it really is. It's kind of like going to Aave in a way, and dropping your shit on Aave. And then, I'm pretty sure that these big institutions, you can park it in a custody account and then use it as collateral for a margin trading account.
That's interesting. Yeah, here's Schwab, Citadel, and Fidelity launching EDX crypto exchange.
Yeah. So you see all these interfaces coming together, or all these access points on and off ramps coming together for, big institutional money that has statutory requirements as to where they can place it. And now all of a sudden we're actually getting toward that point where, groups like, the Harvard Endowment, let's say, which, I don't know, what is it, $40 billion at this point, where they start allocating a piece of their portfolio. They probably already are. But I'm getting to the point that these sort of ones that are kind of in that pension fund kind of category that are holding retirement money and union money and, that kind of stuff, they can't take risk. But now you're making it to where that money, some aspect of it, can end up in a Bitcoin investment or something else. Yeah. So whatever they're calling the institutional crypto at that point. I mean, that's huge. That's absolutely huge.
Yeah, it's big. This should be interesting. It's probably just a bunch of database entries, but that'll help as well. So
yeah, it's like putting a little vanilla wrapper over a really sexy product and dumbing it down so that it has, clunky robustness that everybody feels secure with, or those people feel secure with.
Yeah, as a speculative asset, but absolutely zero.
Sean, you didn't answer me. Was that 2-for-1 happy hour or not?
Oh yeah, what was that yesterday, Sean, with the 2 beers? Were you stocking up, or did you have a date? Well, we'll let him go. All right, I got to wrap up, Joe. I got an interview. I'm interviewing the guys from Liquidity today.
Oh, good. Yeah. Wow. You'll find out how they're doing. Yeah,
they've got a new bonds product called Chicken Bonds, and I have no clue what it is, so they're going to tell me.
Yeah, we definitely want to know about that. See what they're doing, because
he said he had a meeting of the Perma Whale Club. Sean,
I didn't know Ireland was a whaling country.
Yes, Sean is the whale.
All right, buddy. Yeah, but that would be a good interview. Get some good nugs for us so we can share them out tomorrow. That
I'll do that.
The pre-tease.
The pre-tease. Only for our Patreon subscribers. Do we have a Patreon? We don't have a Patreon.
What is that?
Is there a crypto Patreon? Patreon is where you where creators post exclusive content and people subscribe so they can get access to the exclusive content or
so like what we do,
commercial content. Yeah, but it's like behind like a paywall, right?
Oh, that's
Eamon says chicken bonds are sick. Well, I'm going to learn all about them today, buddy. But
I love
what the guys at Liquidity are doing.
I knew you'd resonate on what Brad said. That's what I was getting ready to say. We got to make sure we get some 411 for Eamon.
All right, folks. Thank you so much for listening in, watching, and participating. Eamon, Sean, Shizzy, James, Niblets. We had a big crew today, man. Everybody that participated, we appreciate all your comments and thoughts. Love this interaction. You make the show better every day. If you're just out there lurking and listening, don't worry. You can go to YouTube and participate with us. So come on in. Create an anonymous handle and come chat with us. We won't give your home address out. Appreciate everybody listening and watching. Please, 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 please take a minute. Two things. One of two things. You have a choice. I have an assignment for all of you. You have a choice. Go to Apple Podcasts, Apple iTunes, rate and review us and subscribe. So Apple says, oh shit, these guys rock, and push us up in the algorithm. Or number two, give a little tweet, just a little tweet. Tag a few friends. Talk about how brilliant Joe is. Talk about all his deep state connections, all the inside dirt, the black market shit that we get here in DeFi Lunch, and tell everybody how wonderful we are. And those are one you can pick one of those assignments. You don't even have to do them both. If you do them both, you get a bonus platinum star instead of a gold star. So that's all we're asking today. Take a minute. Just take 1 minute. Give us a little promo, a little pump. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Twitter. Thank you very much. Joe. Tomorrow.
Hey, thanks everyone.
200
Tomorrow's a big
times.
Day.
200 times. 200 times.
200 what?
200 times we've fucking done this shit starting tomorrow.
Oh yeah, and also tomorrow's bed day. FOMC, so it should be exciting.
Oh, that's exciting. That's awesome, dude.
So have some action.
That's awesome. Awesome. All right, thank you, everybody. We love and appreciate you for listening and watching. Joe, have a wonderful day.
You too, buddy, and thanks, everyone. See you tomorrow.